Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Weak mechanics. Dominate the universe from Skynet. Chapter 21. After everyone left, Sha Fang's eldest brother, Sha Wen, glared at Sha Fang. Then he turned to his father. Father, those guys are too deceiving. What Sha Fang has done this time, although it is not small, it is not enough. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that those guys are obviously just looking for an excuse to attack. Even if Sha Fang did not make a mistake, the other party would think of other ways. It's all just a matter of time. This was also the reason why Sha Badian had to agree to the other party's request. It's not that he is deeply in love with Sha Fang's father and son, but that he has no choice. Those people seem to be targeting Sha Fang, but in fact, they have gone to the position of the young patriarch from the very beginning. Even if he is willing to give up his son ruthlessly today, the other party can't just let it go. That old dog. Anything that a son can understand, Sha Badian can naturally understand. He even suspected that the fact that he was besieged by monsters outside the city was also a conspiracy of the other party. Otherwise, he has just been injured. How could the other party start to act immediately? You know, in order to prevent yourself from getting hurt, this thing is exposed. He didn't even dare to find someone from the Sha family for healing. Looking back now, the process of getting the news of the heavenly material treasure was a little too smooth. How could that kind of precious news appear on a weak chicken at the martial artist level? And he just happened to know. But it's too late to say anything. Serious injury has become a fact. Tianwen, I will personally take you to a special training right away. Since those guys dare to threaten me to do it, it means that they must have trump cards. With your martial artist's later cultivation, it's not very safe. I was surprised before. Why is that guy's son so low-key? He has not been in the Wei clan for so many years. He had already planned for a long time. If it weren't for this one today, the position of the young patriarch must have been asked by Sha, there is no doubt about that. Unless, like Sha Badian, he finally relied on his powerful strength to make a comeback. Otherwise, the son of the patriarch is basically the next patriarch. This is common in all families. Furthermore, Sha Wen is indeed the strongest new generation of the Sha family on the bright side. He should be made the young patriarch. Unfortunately, I'm just such a genius son, otherwise I could have more helpers. Sha Badian sighed secretly, pinning his hopes on one person. It was a little unsafe after all. It's a pity that my daughter has a pure heart and doesn't like cultivation. The second son is a typical playboy, with a particularly poor talent. In addition to causing trouble, Mao has no use. He couldn't imagine that if the position of the head of the family fell into the hands of others, he would have another accident. How will the three siblings survive in the future? If it really doesn't work, you can only find a way to marry your daughter out sooner. Sha Badian thought to himself. My daughter's cultivation base is a little short, but her appearance is outstanding. If you can marry into a big family, maybe you can get some help. Taking 10,000 steps back, this is also a way out. Tianwen, you said it would be better to marry your little sister to the Gusu family in Suchong, or to marry the Tian family in Taichung. The Gusu family is powerful, but it is too strong. Sha Wen can only be small when she married. The Tian family can be bigger, but the family is weaker. Sha Fang, who stood beside him and acted as a little transparent, analyzed the energy circulation pattern in Sha Badian's body. The more you hear it, the worse it gets. What are you talking about? And you talk about the marriage of your silly white sweet sister. I have just fished the other party out of the Son of Luck. Man, the ass isn't hot yet. Here again, silently rolling his eyes, Sha Fang interrupted to change his strategy. Before, he thought that it would be safer to wait for Skynet to thoroughly analyze the physical laws of this world before starting to act. I don't have that patience now. It's really boring to peck each other with a group of rookies. Sha Fang, actually, it doesn't need to be that troublesome. I'll just kill those old things. Sha Badian. Summer asks. They looked at Sha Fang with a dazed look in their eyes. Did you just hallucinate? How else would you hear that nonsense? Sha Tianwen sneered. If you want to die, go out of the city by yourself, don't drag us down. Not finished. With a bang, the whole person flew out. Sha Fang clapped his hands without any expression on his face. That feeling is like flying a buzzing fly. Don't talk if you can't talk, I'll give you the face, you crap. Turning to look at Sha Badian. I can help you get rid of those disobedient guys, and also heal your wounds. But I have a condition. Sha Badian's whole body was tense, and the aura that had just poured out from Sha Fang's body was obviously Wuzong. No, it should be like Wuzong. But stronger than Wuzong. A few months ago, he was a martial artist, but now he has become a martial artist. Combined with the strange performance of the other party in the past few days, he faintly realized something. A chance encounter. Too lazy to care what the other party thinks, Sha Fang continued, I need you to tell me the process of breaking through King Wu. For the people of Salt Lake City, any change in the big family will have an impact that cannot be ignored. Especially the Sha family that ranks first. But recently, they seem to be in a dream. The Sha family broke out that several elders were killed one after another. It even includes the great elder of the Wuzong level. As soon as the news came out, the entire Salt Lake City fell into chaos. You know, apart from the Sha family, the strongest of the other families in Salt Lake City are also in the late Wuzong period. The cultivation level of the dead Great Elder. That murderer was able to slaughter the Great Elder right under the eyes of Sha Badian in the Sha clan's compound. Naturally, it can also sweep other families. For a time, Salt Lake City was in a hurry. All families, big or small, are in a state of emergency. All power is back. But even so, it still can't stop the crazy murderer. Following the Sha clan, several other clans' strong martial artists were killed one after another. Not only that, the scope of the victims is also expanding. There are various signs that the other party does not seem to be alone. This made the major families even more nervous. A single person commits the crime, but it is easy to solve. But if the gang commits the crime, what is the truth? 1 month later. Sha family. Sha Badian looked at the person in front of him with complicated eyes, and an unspeakable sense of fear rose in his heart. In terms of blood relationship, the other party is his son. But now he doesn't dare to call each other that. As early as 10 days ago, the patriarch of him died in name only. The senior members of the Sha family have all declared their surrender to Sha Fang. Don't want to. No one knows what means Sha Fang used. But all those who are unwilling to obey will disappear. When they reappeared, it seemed like a different person. And the strength has been greatly improved. Under that mysterious method, after losing several elders, the Sha family's strength increased rather than decreased. The Wuzong level powerhouse alone has changed from the original 2 to the current 4. There are more than 20 generals. This made everyone respect and fear Sha Fang. On the one hand, everyone wants to improve their strength. On the other hand, they are afraid of losing themselves. Sha Fang is not interested in Sha Badian's entanglement. He was looking at Skynet's data analysis report with his eyes closed. Physical law analysis progress, 85%. Remaining estimated time, 21 days, 14 hours and 53 minutes. Unless Sha Fang's soul becomes stronger, this time cannot be shortened. Number of puppet legions, 192 people. 26 people in Wuzong, 66 people in generals, 100 people in martial arts. This is the fruit of Sha Fang's hard work for a month. Research has found that the world rejects clones, but not its own. Based on this, Sha Fang used the clone's memory infusion technology on those captives. The effect is not perfect though. The soldiers who have undergone memory indoctrination have a low level of intelligence. Many are even like low-level puppets and require external control to fight normally. But for Sha Fang, who owns Skynet, he can be distracted by hundreds of millions. That's not a problem. In order to maximize the fighting power of the puppets, Sha Fang directly used the secret technique transformed by energy technology on them. At the expense of using time, those puppet warriors were upgraded by 1 or 2 realms. That's why a puppet army of such a size exists. There are a total of 26 Wuzongs, although most of them are in the early stage of Wuzong. But this power is already more than the number of Wuzongs of all the families in Salt Lake City combined. Skynet, recall all Puppet Legion warriors. Start the cleanup plan. The preliminary preparations are ready, and Sha Fang feels that the time is ripe. Now all the families in the entire Salt Lake City are extremely nervous, and the defense is doing a good job. Some small families have even started to join forces. In this case, it is impossible to find a single strong person, or to sneak in secretly. Instead of wasting time, execute the final plan. With Sha Fang's order, in the wilderness around Salt Lake City, the calm-faced puppet warriors returned one after another. After the transformation, they have all become weapons to help Sha Fang complete the task. Mandatory quest issued by the Tower of Babel: kill 1,000 monsters. Sha Fang has already overdone it. Skynet's micro-manipulation ability, coupled with Wuzong's formidable strength, pushed the kill count to 6,000 in just 1 month. This alone is enough for Sha Fang to get a C-level rating. You must know that if it is another batch of angel passers, the strength can reach the military commander, even if the luck, talent, and occupation are all top. And if a general wants to kill 1,000 monsters, he has to be careful, be cautious and be cautious. After all, even a martial king in Sha Badian would be seriously injured by monsters. Not to mention the mediocre generals. Next day. Salt Lake City Gate. Why don't you let us go out? Which family are you from? You have to give a reason not to give the door. Have you heard us speak and thought it would be useful to pretend to be dumb? Quote. Early in the morning, the loose warriors who were going out to hunt monsters were surprised to find out. A group of masked strangers blocked the gate. Only allowed in, not allowed out. For this situation, they are not unusual. More than a month ago, major families have done similar things. But they posted notices anyway, and some people were responsible for persuading them to return. As it is now, there is no sign that it is blocked when it is said to be blocked. The attitude is so rude. No, it can't be described as arrogant. Simply ignore. The other party didn't even bother to say a word. Martial artist, when his blood is strong, he has a tyrannical character, how can he bear this? Some of the more temperamental erupted on the spot. Attempt to attack. They didn't know that this move instantly triggered the puppet warrior's battle procedure. Boom boom. Several strands of Wuzong-level blood energy erupted. The bone-chilling murder will lock everyone on the scene. Silence. The crowd that was restless before, now seems to have pressed the pause button. Don't talk nonsense, they can't even stop breathing. Especially the guys who took the lead in making troubles were scared to pee. You are a Wuzong-level boss, you said it a long time ago. Don't say blocking the door, let's kneel and lick. What are you doing dumb here? Just as they closed their eyes and waited to die. The masked man who never spoke finally said, "Today, no one is allowed to go out." Then, 2 Wuzongs were left at the scene, and the others rushed through the crowd and rushed into the distance. Under the arrangement of Sha Fang, the people of the Sha family joined the puppet army. Sha Badian's face was full of shock when he saw more than 20 Wuzong-level powerhouses full of murderous intent and blood in front of him. He who has seen Sha Fang's special methods, of course, knows that there must be some strong people in the opponent's hands. But he never thought that there would be so many. The 4 Wuzongs of the Sha family, plus the new 26 Wuzongs. That is a full 30 Wuzong-level powerhouses. How many Wuzongs are there in the entire Salt Lake City? 10, or 15. There are definitely not 20 anyway. It is no exaggeration to say that even if the 30 Wuzongs joined forces, even if he was not injured, it would be impossible to confront them head-on. Taking a deep look at Sha Fang, Sha Badian forcibly erased that little thought. His so-called trump card, in front of the opponent, is a fart. Before figuring out how strong the opponent is, the wisest choice is to surrender. See everyone in attendance. Sha Fang. The soldiers are divided into 3 groups, everyone will act according to the plan. After half an hour, fierce fighting broke out all over Salt Lake City. The huge blood energy fluctuations echoed everywhere, and even ordinary people could clearly feel it. Invisible coercion made all the snakes, rats and mosquitoes in Salt Lake City disappear. For danger, these small animals have a spiritual sense far beyond that of humans. The fight didn't last long. The overwhelming combat advantage makes all resistance a cloud. Under the overall coordination of Skynet, the Puppet Legion lost less than 20 people and completely occupied Salt Lake City. When the leaders of the major families were escorted to the Sha family and looked at Sha Fang sitting on the chair, they were all dumbfounded. Because among the people involved in the attack, there were members of the Sha family, and they all thought that Sha Badian did everything. As a martial king level powerhouse, the opponent has such means and strength, which is reasonable. The winner is the king and the loser is the king. They are not wrong. With this kind of thought in mind, everyone was mentally prepared to bow down to Sha Badian. But, who is this kid in front of him? It was quickly recognized that the other party was Sha Badian's little son who had no future. How is this going? Is this not what they thought? For a time, everyone's thoughts were flying. Not sure what to do. At this moment, Sha Fang said, "Since everyone has arrived, let's start. The reason for keeping you alive is very simple, I need you to serve me." Too lazy to talk nonsense with the other party, Sha Fang chose to go straight to the topic. If it weren't for these people being useful, he would have transformed them all into puppet warriors. The loyalty of the puppet legion can indeed be guaranteed. But in agility, they are still inferior to normal humans. In Sha Fang's next plan, some normal humans are needed to serve him. With the unification of the major forces in Salt Lake City, people were surprised to find that this familiar place suddenly changed. Those arrogant and rude members of the big family have all disappeared. In its place was an organization called the Scarlet Council. Some conscientious people swear that they have seen many family members in the Scarlet Council. Up to the patriarch, down to the common members. Even the Sha family, which is number 1 in overall strength, is no exception. It felt as if the Scarlet Council had annexed all the families in Salt Lake City. Of course, in the eyes of many loose-person warriors, this is a joke. It's normal for a family to start and disappear, but that's an entire Salt Lake City. Could it be so powerful? Ordinary people don't care what the martial artist cares about. They care more about their own interests. Careful people found that the Scarlet Council was completely different from the previous family forces. Here, advocate equality for all. In other words, the Scarlet Council does not seem to hold the martial arts practitioners very high. Instead, they seem to be closer to ordinary people. This can also be seen from the actions of the Red Council. Open free schools, exercise physical fitness for ordinary people, promulgate laws that are conducive to protecting the interests of ordinary people, and completely abolish the law that warriors are innocent of murder. In Sha Fang's view, there are many regulations that even Wall Street capitalists will cry. For ordinary people in Salt Lake City, that is simply a good God alive. How can ordinary people eat meat? Do you need to salute when you see Lord Martial Artist? Only need to work 12 hours a day and then get off work? Can you take a half day off every 7 days? Many people think they are dreaming. They are even worried about sleeping. What if this is just a dream, once they fall asleep and return to reality? In short, with the Scarlet Council, the entire Salt Lake City has undergone earth-shaking changes. At first, some loose-person warriors thought this was just a face project of the Scarlet Council. How can people who practice martial arts live on an equal footing with ordinary people? As a result, Sha Fang told them with the iron-blooded facts. Anyone who dares to violate the regulations of the Scarlet Council will die even if they flee to other cities. Furthermore, the cities are so far apart. There are countless monsters in the middle. If there are no military commanders, how many lucky ones can really reach other cities smoothly? After several times, no one dared to violate the decree of the Scarlet Council again. With a stable rear, 2/3 of the puppet warriors were sent out by Sha Fang. Their mission is simple: kill. Perhaps because of Skynet's transformation, the puppet warriors were also assumed to be units controlled by Sha Fang by default. So, every time they kill a monster, Sha Fang's soul strength will increase a little. 1 or 2 is just inconspicuous, but when the number comes up, the situation is completely different. In less than 5 days, Sha Fang's soul strength has doubled. It's the same effect as if he ate the heavenly pork fruit. When Sha Fang discovered this through Skynet, the whole person was dumbfounded. What is invincible? This is called invincibility. Just a puppet warrior transformed by a Salt Lake City disobedient can achieve this boost. If all the people in this Salt Lake City are transformed, Sha Fang finally managed to suppress this world-destroying idea. This plan sounds tempting, but in fact it is not good for the next plan. And the degree of strain is very poor. Once you start, you can't regret it. In this way, Sha Fang arranged for ordinary people to go to the mine to collect various materials for him and prepare for the violent soldiers behind. while enjoying the treatment of lying down and becoming stronger. Finally, on the 9th day of the unification of Salt Lake City, Skynet completed the analysis of the physical laws of the world. After the soul becomes stronger, Skynet will run faster. After receiving the prompt from Skynet, Sha Fang immediately issued an order. Order 1. Start building the primary energy well. Order 2. Start the construction of the Apocalypse Tank Construction Center. Order 3. Start building a production line for large-caliber firearms. Order 4. Start the construction of a Legion-level energy field construction center. Quote. Construction speed has never been an issue for Sha Fang, who turned nanobots into original machines. After successfully deciphering the physical laws of the world, nanorobots can finally begin to operate at full capacity. In less than half a month, all the material reserves of Salt Lake City for so many years have been consumed. Instead, a legion of ordinary people armed to the teeth. The Skynet mechanical legion that is not afraid of death. Kill the ruthless puppet army. Although the memory infusion technology is still flawed, with the help of hypnosis technology, Sha Fang has successfully brainwashed ordinary people in Tianyu City. In other words, that's not brainwashing. Sha Fang just lit a fire. One from the bottom up, vowing to fight the fire of hope for a bright future for themselves and the next generation. At first, those warriors who surrendered to Sha Fang were a little dismissive. A group of ordinary people, even with special weapons, what can they do? Even if they stand there and do nothing, do those cowards dare to do anything? It's a joke to expect them to deal with those monsters outside the city. However, when Sha Fang led the crowd to observe the special training of cowards in their eyes, everyone was speechless. The content of the special training formulated by Sha Fang is very simple. A group of 5 people, holding a knife and fighting monsters in close quarters. When everyone watched those cowards give up an arm in order to kill monsters, and even their own lives had to create attack opportunities for their companions, they were afraid. It's not that I'm afraid of this kind of ruthlessness, but I'm afraid of the eyes of those people when they are dying. No regrets, no fears. Not even the slightest tremor to shake. Some just have a very strange light. They didn't understand what that strange light was. They only know that from that light, they can feel an unknown, but terrifying, unknown power. Lord Sha Fang called that kind of power, faith. Salt Lake City is 10 kilometers away. This is already deep into the wilderness, and in the past, there were usually only traces of martial artists and monsters. Today, this situation is completely broken. The number 42 reconnaissance team is in place, the target is confirmed, the number is about 500, the coordinates, 24.36.52, request for remote fire support. In the dense grass, a team of 5 people in camouflage uniforms lay on the ground. After observing for a while, they picked up the communicator and reported the situation to the rear. 1 report, 4 alert. It can be clearly seen that the cooperation is quite tacit. On the side of the communicator, received. Coordinate confirmation. 24.36.52. The number is about 500, and 2 base long-range artillery support will be given after 30 seconds, please pay attention to avoid it. Repeat again, 2 base long-range artillery support will be given after 30 seconds, please pay attention to avoid it. After a while, the sound of something flying rapidly came. Then, rumbling. The monsters in the distance who had raised their vigilance because of strange noises all flew into the sky. The shock waves and flames caused by the violent explosion licked all the existences within the coverage of the fire. In just a few seconds, those monsters went from doubt to anger to fear. Monsters obsessed with killing are not afraid of death. But they can't find where the enemy is. This feeling is like there is some kind of terrifying existence, hiding in the dark to spy on them. When everything subsided, the surviving monsters stood there blankly. All around are the corpses of my companions. Their simple brains simply don't understand what's going on. The bloody smell that used to make them excited, even crazy, is now mixed with a strange smell that can make people suffocate. If any warrior knew the doubts of those monsters, they would definitely spit hard. He scolded. Turtle, that's the smell of gunpowder. Scenes like this are frequently staged around Salt Lake City. First, the reconnaissance team finds out the situation, and then clears the piled-up monsters at a fixed point. Then the other legions follow in turn. The Puppet Legion is in charge of the formation, specifically dealing with targets with super strong individual strength. The Skynet Mechanical Legion was in the most brutal area. Sha Fang wanted to cultivate the warriors' will to fight, but the casualty ratio still needed to be controlled. Furthermore, Sha Fang found a problem: those monsters killed by faith warriors with firearms could not trigger his soul-thirsty ability. That is to say, those guys kill monsters and cannot provide him with soul energy. This makes Sha Fang quite unhappy. Lao Su is spending time on training, providing weapons and ammunition, and providing logistical support. It's good now, but in the end I didn't catch anything. Isn't this nonsense? If it wasn't to improve his evaluation, Sha Fang really wanted to leave everything behind and go it alone. In the last trial, he clearly remembered that the reminder that he obtained an S-level evaluation was directly causing the awakening of the soul of the nation. The Daxia nation has the potential of a god-level civilization, and obtained an S-level evaluation. In other words, in the value evaluation standard of the Babel Tower, the value of awakening the soul of the nation is extremely high. Sha Fang just wanted to verify whether the real situation was what he thought. 20 days later, under the deliberate control of Sha Fang, 3 cities in a row were liberated. Counting material reserves, transforming puppet warriors, and emancipating minds, everything is going on in an orderly manner. This is the power of scientific and technological civilization. The tedious things are broken down to the extreme and then pipelined and replicated. If the extraordinary single civilization pursues the ultimate quality, then the scientific and technological civilization pursues the ultimate quantity. As long as any existence can be analyzed and decomposed, its difficulty factor will be reduced by 100 times. In order to facilitate management, Sha Fang also spent a lot of effort to bring together the elderly, the weak, women and children from the 3 cities. Under the boundless power of construction machinery, the original dilapidated Salt Lake City has tripled in size. With scientific planning and special housing structure design, the population capacity limit of the entire city has increased by 5 times. This is still the result of considering that some monsters can fly and dare not build super high-rise residential buildings. Otherwise, at least 50 times. With Sha Fang's current technology, building a 100-story super high-rise building is no more difficult than building blocks. The food problem is a better solution than the place to live. The artificial nutrient solution made of monster meat is not only high in energy level, rich in nutrients, but also tastes freely. Curry, fruit, seafood, barbecue. It took Skynet only 0.01 seconds to design 50,000 flavors. There is absolutely something for anyone. Sha Fang has always wanted to complain about the unpleasant plots of nutrient supplements in some sci-fi films. The problem that can be solved by adding a little food essence has to be troubled to the point where the people at the bottom will accumulate resentment and finally make a revolution. I really don't know how brainless the ruling class there is. Seeing that Salt Lake City is getting better and better, his family is also living the happy life promised by President Sha Fang. The warriors' worship of Sha Fang is getting more and more fanatical. Many new residents of Salt Lake City do not need special brainwashing training at all. Hearing is false, seeing is believing, everything they once fantasized about is now really happening in front of them. In this situation, they also began to follow Sha Fang spontaneously. Its level of madness is completely comparable to those who have been brainwashed and trained to believe in warriors. In response, Sha Fang responded, "I don't need your loyalty. You must always keep in mind that what you do today is not for anyone, but for yourself, for the nation, for future generations. If one day, I go against the will of the people, I ask you to overthrow me, overthrow me." Later generations will use the words of the great leader Sha Fang as the spiritual program of the Scarlet Empire, guiding the empire to bravely move forward towards the boundless universe. Over time, Sha Fang's power is getting bigger and bigger, and the movement caused by it is getting bigger and bigger. Finally, the changes on this side of Salt Lake City have attracted the attention of the real power in this world. Salt Lake City is 200 kilometers away. Suzhou City, Gusu's home. Different from Salt Lake City, Sioux City can also be called Suzhou City in a sense. This place has long since become the site of the Gusu family. One late Marshal King and 2 early Marshal Kings, the absolutely powerful force made the Gusu family one of the superpowers. This is also the reason Sha Badian said before that even if he married his daughter, he could only be a small one. Just like the King Wu who broke through by chance, in front of the Gusu family, he has no arrogant capital. Inside the chamber, Ji Su Yun, the patriarch of the Su family, that is, the late King Wu. He looked at the intelligence. What the hell is going on in Salt Lake City? Subordinate, report to the patriarch, a new force called the Scarlet Council has emerged over there. According to the people who escaped there, the other party is extremely cruel and seems to be very hostile to family forces. They also have a strange weapon that fires metal balls that ordinary people can use. Someone handed over the bullet casings collected from the battlefield to the high-level officials at the scene. Everyone frowned when they looked at the orange metal object. Is such a fragile thing really as magical as the intelligence describes? They were a little disbelieving. You know, the fur of some monsters outside the city can even resist the slashing of the meteorite iron soldier. It's just a metal lump that can be suffocated when you squeeze it, let alone killing the opponent. Whether it can rub the monster's skin is a problem. Have you found out what the strongest person in the Scarlet Council is? Peak Martial Sect. No martial king level powerhouse was found. However, the number of martial sects on the other side is a bit large. A rough estimate is at least more than 80. Hearing the first half of the sentence, everyone still disagreed. Without the power of King Wu, there is no way to get on the stage. King Wu is the threshold that determines whether a force can enter the top. But when they heard the second half of the sentence, their faces changed. What is the concept of 80 Wuzong? Their Gusu family, as a top force, only has more than 10 people. It is no exaggeration to say that if 80 Wu Zongs came to attack their Gusu family, all but the 3 Wu Wangs would have to die. If the battle does not retreat, it is still unknown whether the patriarch will die or not. These people, including those 2 martial kings in the early stage, are impossible to survive. In other words, the Scarlet Council already has the strength to threaten their Gusu family. Patriarch, should we go and get in touch with their... This Scarlet Council is so aggressive and has now annexed 5 cities, I'm worried. In this world surrounded by monsters, people are not afraid of new forces. As long as the other party doesn't come to his own territory to do things, everything will be fine. After all, the biggest enemies of mankind are those monsters. But the aggressiveness shown by the Scarlet Council made the senior members of the Suzhou family feel vigilant. On the side of the couch, how can you allow others to snore? Not to mention that the other party is a strange force with strength and ambition. After pondering for a while, Aunt Su Yun also felt that she could not let the other party mess around. That's it, Great Elder, you can take someone to negotiate with the other party later. Let them stop in moderation. Also, make it clear to the other party about our sphere of influence and warn them that they must not cross the line. Otherwise you will be responsible for the consequences. Although the Scarlet Council is powerful, Ji Su Yun still dislikes the forces formed by a group of ordinary people in Wuzong. You must know that the overall strength of a major force cannot be measured just by looking at numbers. There are many Wuzongs on the other side, but if a battle is really going to happen, how many people dare to fight against him in the later stage of Wuwang? If you are not careful, you will die. No one is not afraid of death, especially Wuzong. After finally cultivating to this point, who would want to die in vain? Therefore, in Ji Su Yun's view, as long as he warns him a little here, the other party will stop. At least we can guarantee mutual non-aggression. As for the other side's expansion, do you really think that those monsters outside the city eat dry rice? If they could expand without limit, their Gusu family would have done that already. Sha Fang is not clear about the movement hundreds of kilometers away. At this moment, he is excited to discover some kind of precious mineral. I didn't expect to find high-energy crystals here. High-energy crystal, some kind of crystal-like substance, just a little bit the size of an egg, is enough to support a super city with a population of 100 million and the energy consumption for about 1 year. Strictly speaking, it belongs to the energy that can only be accessed by interstellar civilization. Because it is commonly found on solid planets that are closer to the star. If it were other minerals, Sha Fang might not care too much. After all, different universes have different properties of matter. When the resources collected in this universe go to another world, the material properties will change. It will be completely useless by then. But the energy material is different, unless it is a special world, otherwise it is universal. This is also an important reason why Sha Fang chose to develop energy technology. To a certain extent, it makes up for the lack of adaptability of the mechanic. After confirming the target location, Sha Fang immediately ordered. The 2nd and 3rd legions of the puppet army set off immediately. The 4th, 6th, 7th, and 9th Corps of the Mechanical Legion immediately gave up their established goals and began to assemble. High-energy crystals are too precious. Sha Fang can't wait for the Faith Warrior, he wants to take that place in the shortest time. However, what Sha Fang did not know was that the location of the high-energy crystal was within the control of the Gusu family. Strictly speaking, there is also an important mining location for the Gusu family. Kira Mine. As the most important mine of the Gusu family, the location of the mine is not classified information. However, so far, no one has dared to attack it. The reason is simple. The Gusu family has Wu Wangchang stationed here all year round. Wu Wangchang, who can rule the roost and other forces, is now taking care of himself. Who would dare to be presumptuous? I'm afraid I'll die. This also shows the importance the Gusu family attaches to this mine. Inside the mine. Sir, this month's share has been collected. Very good. Arrange for someone to load the car immediately. Yes, the Gusu family will set a task index every month. Once enough shares are collected, King Wu will personally escort them back to the family. Therefore, the sooner enough shares are collected, the sooner King Wu will be freed. Although there is no need to worry about food and clothing inside the mine, no one wants to come to this ghost place if they have a choice. However, the mines were not ready. Suddenly the alarm was raised outside. That's the alarm that only sounds when a large number of Kira beasts are found. The reason why the Gusu family stationed Wu Wangchang here is on the one hand to deter outsiders and on the other hand to protect the miners. Perhaps because of the special mineral deposits, this place is often hid by Kira beasts. Small-scale animal surges happen almost every month. If there was no suppression by the martial king masters, this place would have been captured by those monsters long ago. Without the slightest hesitation, the moment the alarm sounded, King Wu Gusu Mu led the warriors to kill them. Between the blood and energy, those monsters were torn apart. With Martial King at the top, and 4 martial sects in front, the small-scale beast tied as purely for food delivery. Less than 10 minutes later, the alarm went off. Do you feel that the monster this time is a bit strange? They don't want to fight us. Kira beasts are notoriously violent and ferocious. Human beings will fight fiercely as long as they are seen by them. The kind that never die. However, from the fight just now, it was obvious that something was wrong. Those Kira beasts had absolutely no cruelty with them. Not even looking right. They seemed to be fearful. Do monsters also fear? No one at the scene knew the answer, not even King Wu Su Mu. Just when everyone was in doubt. In the distance, the sound of boom rumble suddenly sounded. Enemy attack. An alert came from the lookout. Needless to say, the following people also know. In their perception, dozens of blood energy quickly approached here. HMPH, it's crazy to actually want to attack our Gusu family. Whether it's a misunderstanding or not, the other party has to kneel down and admit the mistake. Do you want to follow the procedure and alert the family? Shut up, Master Gusu Mu is here, who dares to make a fool of himself? I don't know where the stunned green came from, but the hunting has actually come to the territory of our Gusu family. Quote. Everyone was only tense for a few seconds, and then began to relax. If they really wanted to attack them, who would reveal their whereabouts from such a distance? If it was them, they would definitely use sneak attack tactics. Again, similar situations have occurred in the past. It is nothing more than that people from other forces lost their way in the wild and went to the wrong place. No need to make a fuss. However, no one noticed. Gu Su Mu, who had the highest cultivation base and the most sensitive perception at the scene, changed wildly at this moment. God went to the wrong place. Is that more than 40 Wuzong powerhouses? There was no hesitation. He decisively ordered, seek help from the clan immediately. Everyone was stunned, thinking they had heard it wrong. I said, ask for help from the clan immediately. Yes, only then did everyone realize that something was wrong. The atmosphere instantly became tense. Don't make people wait too long. Soon, Sha Fang's puppet army appeared in front of the Gusu family guards full of blood. The murderous intent that was contaminated by the previous crazy killings. Like a tsunami, the people who rushed to the Gusu family frantically. Make them pale. Guru. Someone swallowed hard. I only feel that my legs are weak, and some of them will fall down. 45 Wuzong, more than 200 generals, this lineup can no longer be described as luxurious. Even if the entire Gusu family was drained, they would not be able to make up so much. The only thing fortunate is that after the other party showed up, he did not launch an attack. Just staring at them blankly. After a few minutes, Gusu Mu saw that the other party still didn't make any movement, so he could only bite the bullet and shouted, "The front is the property of the Gusu family, who are you?" At the moment when the puppet army contacted the Gusu family, Sha Fang, who was cultivating, immediately received the news from the front. After unifying several cities, Sha Fang got his wish and got the martial arts. Although it can only be cultivated to the early stage of King Wu, but with Skynet's powerful deduction ability, its upper limit has reached the late stage of King Wu. The level is the same as the mysterious technique mastered by that son of luck, Sha Bufan. By the way, Sha Fang planned to attack that son of luck a month ago. As a result, when he went to find the other party again, that person disappeared. Mingming has specially arranged for Wuzong to monitor it. Never thought that people are still gone. In this regard, Sha Fang didn't care too much, he had already been mentally prepared. The main character. If you fart, you can jump out of a space tunnel, and then get into it and meet the grandfather. Basic exercise, don't be 6. If it were so easy to solve, the Tower of Babel wouldn't be included in the list of optional tasks. Off topic. Through Skynet's quantum communication technology, Sha Fang looked at the people who stopped in front of the puppet army. The special clothing on the other side made Sha Fang instantly recognize what force it was. How come there are people from the Gusu family here? In the wilderness, it is more than 80 kilometers away from Sioux City. Even if the other party is hunting, they shouldn't run so far, right? Sha Fang, who had never cared about the relevant news, didn't know anything about the Gusu family's minds at all. And those members of the big family who were defeated by him could not save their own lives, and they had no intention of mentioning the matter of the Gusu family, which was 100 or 200 kilometers away. Could it be that the other party is also looking for high-energy crystals? Sha Fang's eyes flashed fiercely. He did not believe in coincidences. Because he did not get the high-energy crystal entity, he did not confirm whether the warrior could absorb the energy in it. In this case, you have to plan for the worst. After thinking about it for a while, Sha Fang already had a plan in his mind. Soon, Sha Badian, who received the order, set off immediately. Originally a staunch profit seeker, when Sha Badian learned that Sha Fang had a technique that could be practiced to the later stage of King Wu, he became the most determined lackey of the Scarlet Council. He did not feel ashamed of surrendering to his son. I can give birth to such a good son, can you? In fact, it wasn't just him, but the other two Wu Wangchang who were also seriously injured and had been unwilling to surrender. After obtaining some new exercises, they also turned into unswerving supporters of the Scarlet Council. Dignity. Ha ha, that is a cultivation technique that can be practiced until the late stage of King Wu. Do you know what that concept is? The reason why the Gusu family was able to have 3 martial kings and become the top power, didn't it depend on the practice that was practiced to the later stage of the martial king? In the present, when Emperor Wu has not appeared for a long time, one can cultivate to the late stage of Emperor Wu, which can be said to be the most precious treasure in the world. Just serving the Scarlet Council can be exchanged for contribution points. This is a dream that no martial artist dares to imagine. Don't talk about betrayal now, you can't drive it away. Just when Sha Badian rushed to the scene, the chief elder of the Gusu family happened to meet a clan member who was going to rush back to the family for help on the way. Just simply listened to the description of the other party, and immediately reflected which force the other party was. He didn't expect that he had not been in contact with the other party's top management. The Scarlet Council has already called, and the target is the most important mineral deposit of the Gusu family. That is the lifeblood of the Gusu family. The chi and bloodstone that appeared there, after being modulated by the secret method, can speed up the cultivation speed. The Gusu family can have more than a dozen Wuzong powerhouses, and the Qi and Bloodstone is indispensable. You go back and tell the patriarch about the matter. That is, the Scarlet Council took the initiative to attack, intending to snatch the Kira mine, and let him immediately bring people to support. After the explanation, the first elder led the crowd and immediately rushed to the Kira mine. There are absolutely no surprises there. When the first elder arrived at the scene, Sha Badian had just arrived not long ago. Sha Badian, what do you mean? Whose territory is here? I don't think you don't know. Gusu Emu's face was gloomy. He and Sha Badian have known each other for a long time, and the other party planned to betroth his daughter to his son before. What's this about now? Do you think that you have joined a big force and are qualified to challenge the authority of their Gusu family? With this in mind, Gusu Emu's eyes gradually became dangerous. As King Wu of the Gusu family, he is very clear about his relationship with the family. One is prosperous, and one is lost. Who dares to think wrongly about the Gusu family, that is the enemy of his Gusu Mu. However, Gusu Mu didn't know that after Sha Badian came here, he couldn't express the bitterness in his heart. Before he set off, he thought that the puppet army had encountered a difficult target again. He has completed similar tasks no less than 5 times. It's already well established. Never thought that the enemy was actually the Gusu family. And looking at the posture of our own side, it is obviously premeditated. Otherwise, how could there be so many Wuzong gathered together? In the past monster clearing tasks, a small team only had 1 to 2 Wuzong at most. 45 Wuzong, more than 200 generals, and several mechanized corps behind. I'm afraid this is not going to start a full-scale war with the Gusu family. Besides, if you want to fight, you can fight. What are you doing by pulling me here? Do you use it as a sacrificial flag prop for Su Yun, the aunt of the Su family? Misunderstanding, definitely a misunderstanding. We're just passing by, I'll report the situation to the top now. Sha Badian delays time while explaining. Of course he knew that his side was not a misunderstanding, but now it is the kingly way to delay time. In any case, he didn't want to fight against the 2 martial kings. Those puppet warriors are not afraid of death, he is not that stupid. Gusu's house. Although Sha Badian's attitude is very good. But they still dare not take it lightly. Who knows if that's still a conspiracy? Again, it is not difficult to hear from Sha Badian's words that the other party is not the real ruler. At least in this matter, he can't be the master. However, when Wuzong saw Sha Badian, they didn't look directly at him. The rice buckets of the intelligence agency, what is the highest combat power as the peak Wuzong? Did this Sha Badian jump out of a crack in the stone? The great elder looked sullen when he remembered the intelligence information he saw before departure. He has decided to wait until this matter is over. Be sure to go back and rectify those worms in the family. How dare you intervene in the intelligence agency, you're impatient. In addition to anger, he has a faint worry. Even the martial king can't call the shots in the early stage. What level of power is hidden in this Scarlet Council? For some reason, the great elder suddenly had a feeling. This Scarlet Council is not as simple as the patriarch imagined. But it's too late to say anything now. Everything can only be decided after the patriarch or the other party's high-level officials are present. It's not just the Gusu family that pays attention to Sha Fang. Powerful, numerous and aggressive. The combination of various factors makes the Scarlet Council a vigilant object of all surrounding forces. Therefore, when Sha Fang's puppet army confronted the people of the Gusu family, the news immediately spread in the martial artist circle. For a time, many generals, Wuzong and even Wu Wang rushed to the scene. Is this Scarlet Council too daring? Is he not afraid of offending the Gusu family? Nonsense, you don't even look at the situation at the scene, obviously the Scarlet Council has the upper hand, okay. Are you afraid of wool? More than 40 martial arts, tisk tisk tisk, this is too terrifying. What can Wuzong do? As soon as King Wu makes a move, those guys will die. Advance can be attacked, retreat can be defended, the Gusu family is sure to win. Fart, you don't even look at this place, do you think the Gusu family might withdraw? There is no place to retreat. Oh, the Kira mine, that's all right. Quote. As the onlookers said, Two martial kings faced off against more than 40 martial emperors, in the case of both sides fighting to the death. It is definitely that King Wu is defeated. Even if the King Wu of the Gusu family is powerful, at most 20 or 30 people will be replaced. After all, blood is limited. But, if King Wu fought guerrilla warfare, the situation would be completely different. Unless those Wuzong stayed together all the time. Otherwise, the effort to go to the toilet is enough to kill them. No one can ignore a killer with the strength of a martial king. However, the Gusu family could not retreat. Behind it is the family's most important mine. The other party is obviously running here. Once retreated, the ghost knows what the other party will do here. In the tense atmosphere, Sha Fang and the people who came to support from the Gusu family came to the scene one after another. At the moment when Ji Su Yun appeared, I could clearly feel it. The people of the Gusu family were shocked. All the worries and anxieties from before are gone. In its place is confidence. Incomparably powerful, strong confidence that he can definitely win. It wasn't just them, the onlookers saw Ji Su Yun. It exploded instantly. Ji Su Yun, the current patriarch of the Su family, that Aunt Su Yun from the later period of King Wu. I heard that he killed more than 2,000 monsters in one night, including 6 warrior kings. If Emperor Wu is out, who would dare to fight with him? It's over. If the Scarlet Council doesn't have a master who can match it, it must be submissive and admit defeat. I can't tell. What if there is? Haha, you thought King Wu was Chinese cabbage in the later stage. There's a young man here, and I don't know what's going on. Then watch it and you'll know. Quote. Before Ji Su Yun appeared, there were still people who thought that the Scarlet Council might not be able to win. There are more than 40 Wuzongs, and one Wuwang was in the early stage. This force definitely surpassed the people on the Gusu family's side. But when everyone saw Ji Su Yun, the mood changed instantly. What a joke, that was the late King Wu. One of the strongest in the world. The ultimate heritage of the top forces. In the realm of Martial King, the gap between each level is huge. In the early days of King Wu, it might be possible to use Wuzong to kill him. 10 if 5 is not enough, 15 if 10 is not enough. The absolute number can completely make up for the lack of combat effectiveness. But once it reaches the late stage of King Wu, blood gas is 100% transformed, and muscles, bones, cells, etc. have all completed evolution. There is even a hint of fantasy features in the realm of Martial Emperor. Then the situation is completely different. It is no exaggeration to say that in the later stage of King Wu, he can already move freely in this world. Even if they encounter a super large beast tide, they can advance and retreat freely. This level of powerhouse, unless you want to die. Or the deadline is approaching. Otherwise, he will never die. At least so far, there has never been a case of the late King Wu dying for other reasons. Therefore, in people's minds, only the strongest can deal with the strongest. Even Aunt Su Yun is out. Interesting. Sha Fang became more and more sure of his previous thoughts. This is definitely not a coincidence. It is enough to make the Gusu family deploy all their combat power, which is enough to prove that there are super valuable treasures here. Perhaps, the Qi and Blood Stone that the people around him referred to was the high-energy crystal he wanted. Thinking of that precious resource has been exploited a lot by the Gusu family. Sha Fang felt uncomfortable in his heart. Qi and Blood Stone, as soon as you hear the name, you know what it is used for. Use high-energy crystals as consumables to replenish blood. Sha Fang just wanted to shout, what a waste. You really want to cultivate resources, trade with me. Skynet's special nutrient solution is specially designed for warriors. 1 bottle refreshes the mind, 2 bottles never get tired, and 3 bottles live forever. If you want your kidneys to be healthy, use. I'm sorry, I'm off the stage. In short, for Sha Fang, who has a huge puppet army, the most important thing is the training materials for the martial artist. The nutrient solution that ordinary people in Salt Lake City eat is an ordinary version of that thing. As long as there are monsters in this world, Sha Fang can produce that kind of thing indefinitely. Get to know the situation with your own people. Ji Su Yun turned to look at Sha Fang. Let your rulers speak out. Don't be tempted, just say what you have to say. Sha Fang responded with a smile. The other party's words seemed to be interrogative, but in fact, Chi-Ji had already locked him in. Furthermore, he had no intention of concealing his identity. Readily. If that's the case, then I'll make it clear. This is the site of my Gusu family. I hope your people can leave immediately. I wonder if you can give me face today. As if it was a demonstration, a coercion suddenly erupted from the opponent. The onlookers at the scene felt as if a mountain was pressing down on them. The blood in the body began to run and resist involuntarily. Below Wu Zong, he couldn't help but burst into blood. This is barely able to stand still, feeling the unspeakable but real coercion around him. Sha Badian looked solemn and murmured in a low voice. In the later period of King Wu, it is incomparable to human beings. Sha Fang glanced at him. With a sneer, is it invincible? Then I will see today, is he as powerful as the legend? Turned. Ji Su Yun, right. I tell you clearly, the purpose of my visit today is very simple. The land behind you, I want the Scarlet Council. The land behind you, I want the Scarlet Council. Sha Fang's voice echoed in the wilderness. In that tone, it was as if he was saying that he planned to stay with his girlfriend at night. It's so natural. The crowd was stunned at first, and then in an uproar. Is this guy crazy? How dare he talk to Aunt Su Yun like that? I thought this guy was tough enough, but I didn't expect to be an idiot. The other party has already given him enough face. Tisk tisk tisk, are you rushing to reincarnate? It seems that today's matter will definitely not be good. Nonsense, in front of the patriarch of the Gusu family, asking for important properties of other people's families, it will be hell if you can be good. Quote. The more powerful it is, the more importance it attaches to face. The attitude of the original Aunt Su Yun was already unbelievable. When did the supreme powerhouse in the later stage of King Wu become so talkative? Everyone else is bullying to the door, but they still don't do it. I never thought that Sha Fang would not play cards according to the routine. The other side gave you steps down. You are good, not only can't go down, but also spit in other people's faces. Isn't this a public slap in the face? At this point, no matter what Ji Su Yun was worried about before. There is only one way left now. Beat. That's exactly what happened. After hearing Sha Fang's answer, Ji Su Yun's face instantly turned gloomy. The coercion, which was already as heavy as 1,000 pounds, was even more real at this time. It was faintly visible that there was even a phantom figure of the real martial arts body dozens of meters high behind the opponent. According to legend, that is the ability that can only be possessed by the existence of the martial emperor level. Although King Wu was unable to fully manifest it in the later period. But just a wisp of afterimage is enough to crush everyone. HMPH, shame on your face. Ji Su Yun snorted coldly. As a supreme powerhouse, he has not met anyone who dared to speak to him like this for a long time. Even people from the same top forces are respectful when they see him. Don't dare to overstep. The overall strength of this Scarlet Council is very strong. Has an amazing number of Wuzong-level powerhouses. There is also King Wu. However, these cannot be the capital of the other party's arrogance in front of him. In this world, only the strongest can deal with the strongest. Thought here. Ji Su Yun stirred her blood and waved her palm out. Since you don't want to go, then you can stay. In an instant, the sky dimmed, and everyone looked up. I saw the phantom of Marshal Dao's real body in midair slowly raising his arm, and then a palm fell. Xuantian palm. Apparently it's just a ghost. Under the flood of blood, the palms became solid. No one doubts the power of this palm. For a time, those onlookers scattered and fled in an instant. Hurry up and run. It's crazy, you can fight when you say it. Hehe, what do you want to do? Let the other party notify you in advance. Do you have that card face? Stop talking nonsense, run away. If this is affected, you will be seriously injured if you don't die. The full blow of the strongest, not to mention their martial arts and generals. Even in the middle stage of Martial King, it would still hurt the muscles and bones with just a rub. In fact, it's not just them who eat melons. When Ji Su Yun attacked, within a 10-kilometer radius, all monsters fled in the opposite direction. Or curl up and shiver. Shit and urine flow. The huge gap in life level makes the monsters have no idea of fighting against it at all. This is also the reason why the strongest are not afraid of the beast tide. Unless you are a monster of the same level, you don't have to worry about being besieged. Of course, the strongest do not dare to be too arrogant. In their heyday, those monsters were naturally afraid of them. But once there is an opportunity, for example, they are seriously injured, those monsters will get even crazier. After all, as long as they eat their flesh and blood, those monsters can evolve. In the face of Gusu Yun's powerful blow, Sha Fang looked up at the sky, motionless. However, the Wuzongs around him jumped up one after another. Dozens of blood gas condensed into a ball. Boom. Void thunder. Dozens of dark shadows flashed by. When the smoke cleared, I saw people lying on the ground. More than 40 Wuzongs, 1 Wuwang, all fell to the ground with serious injuries at this moment. In an instant, the advantage of the Scarlet Council turned into a disadvantage. Only Sha Fang was left unscathed, standing on the spot. If it is said that there is no containment of the strongest before, the Scarlet Council can also rely on the advantage of numbers to force back the situation. After all, as long as there is no confrontation, even if he is as strong as Gusu Yun, he cannot take down so many Wuzongs in a short period of time. At that time, the rest of the Gusu family will be used as a threat. Gusu Yun definitely dare not go too far. But now, the farce is over. Hey, I thought there would be a miracle, but I didn't expect to encounter a brain dead. Is that guy scared? Why doesn't he move? So young, I still can't feel the blood. I feel like the Second World Lord. I'll take it. On such an important occasion, let a Second World Lord face it. It seems that this Scarlet Council is also a rotten force. Within any power, there are 2 World Lords. This is inevitable. But the more powerful it is, the more it will control the rights of the Second World Lord. They just eat and drink like moths. No need to intervene in major events. After one blow, Gusu Yun did not continue to attack. How about it? Can you withdraw now? The expression on Gusu Yun's face was like a smile but not a smile, and the look in her eyes seemed to be looking at ants. The big picture is set. Everyone looked at Sha Fang, who was alone, and suddenly felt pity for him. This kid must be terrified now, right? He was so arrogant just now. It's only been less than a minute. You have to bear all the pressure of the Gusu family by yourself. I am really worried that after he goes back, the heart of martial arts will be damaged. Even insane. At this moment, Sha Fang suddenly burst out laughing. It really deserves to be the strongest in the later period of King Wu. Such a pity. If you only have this strength, then you are not qualified to let me retreat. In everyone's surprised eyes, Sha Fang whispered something that no one could understand. Password confirmation. ********, fire aloud. Chapter 31. Fire. What do you mean? Is he going to cook? It's all about this time, make a fart meal. Then what do you mean by that? Could it be a code to let the people in ambush attack? If you say that, it's really possible. Quote. As a senior martial artist, Gusu Yun obviously thought of that. He looked around subconsciously. As a result, nothing was found. With his late-stage perception as a martial artist, if there is an enemy ambush nearby, it is impossible not to perceive it at all. Unless the opponent's backhand hid among those onlookers. The highest as the middle stage of King Wu, there is no threat. This concern was quickly dismissed by him. Although the middle stage of King Wu and the later stage of King Wu are only one level apart. But this level is the gap between heaven and earth. Luck, talent, opportunity, etc., any martial king in the later stage is the master of all these. For 99% of Wuwang level powerhouses, the midterm of Wuwang is the limit. If you want to become stronger, it is as difficult as going to the sky. It doesn't even matter if you have a gong method. Of course, active practice is a major premise. Otherwise, the difficulty has to be increased by 10 times. The difficulty of promotion is so great, and the combat power is naturally different. Not to mention that there was only one mid-stage martial king at the scene. Even if there were 7 or 8 more, Gusu Yun would have the confidence to strangle them all. Thinking of this, he looked at Sha Fang again. Stop bluffing, I'll give you a choice now, and get out of here with your people immediately. Then let someone who can really talk to me come to my Gusu family to apologize. Or else, not finished. Suddenly someone at the scene pointed to the sky in the distance. What it is? The crowd looked up. I saw the distant horizon, and suddenly there were countless light spots approaching. And it's extremely fast. The last second was still far away, and in the blink of an eye, the distance has been doubled. Gusu subconsciously looked at Sha Fang. Since it is the other party's hidden means, he must know what it is. However, what he saw was Sha Fang's playful eyes. Before he could figure out what the other party meant. Not good. When those spots of light were close enough, Gusu only felt a murderous intent surrounding herself. The chill made his whole body stand up. Before I could explain, my Aunt Su-yun shouted, "Let me get rid of it all." Not finished. Rumbling. The spot of light smashed, and a series of explosions sounded at the scene. Huge shock waves and flames engulfed everything within the firepower range in an instant. The deafening explosion was mixed with the screams of the members of the Gusu family. 1 minute later, everything calms down. Sha Fang withdrew the energy defense field in front of him. At the moment when the cannonball landed, he took out the energy defense force field generator that had been activated for a long time from his personal space. He did not hope that the massive bombing would not reach him. Skynet had at most control over where the shells landed. As for after landing, at such a distance, perhaps only God can control the power of weapons of mass destruction. At the same time, in Sha Fang's mind, Skynet's prompt sounded. The attack order has been completed, and the energy scan has begun. DIP. Found life forms, number 4. The target has been locked again. The coordinates are being adjusted during the trajectory deduction. Is there a second round of attack? More than 40 kilometers away from the scene. Under the control of Skynet, hundreds of automatic guns slowly adjusted the inclination of the gunfire. And in their vicinity, surrounded by all kinds of combat vehicles, armed robots and even tanks. Under their crossfire, no monster can get close. For people in this world, the strength of a force depends on the number and quality of warriors. Especially the cultivation of the strongest. The so-called war is nothing more than a gathering of people from two major forces. Then get into close quarters. Therefore, when everyone encountered this kind of over-the-horizon blow, they were all dumbfounded. What just happened? Someone whispered. Obviously did not perceive the existence of any blood. Just some weird blips of light coming from nowhere. After landing, it actually became like this. This is not reasonable. Unfortunately, no one at the scene knew the answer. Except for Sha Fang, even Sha Badian from the camp couldn't explain it clearly. He only knew that the Scarlet Council had some kind of power that ordinary people could use. That kind of strange power can threaten the martial artist. However, he had never really seen the mechanical core bombardment. Never thought about it. That power is so powerful. He did not expect that Sha Fang would dare to be so arrogant. Actively attack the strongest. This is the death penalty of the death penalty. Predictably, after this war, whether they win or lose, they will be famous. Become a thorn in the eyes of countless forces, a thorn in the flesh. After all, that power was terrifying. People tend to pay more attention to the unknown. Even more scared. If you let others know, this power can even be mastered by ordinary people who cannot practice martial arts. It is unimaginable what will happen to the Scarlet Council. Sha Badian shuddered a little when he thought that he had to face the pursuit of several supreme powerhouses in the later stage of King Wu. No, if you get away with it this time. After going back, stricter confidentiality measures must be implemented. Just when Sha Badian was thinking wildly, everyone looked at the center of the battlefield with complex eyes. The strong wind carried the dust and dissipated quickly. The situation on the scene gradually became clear, and all kinds of things were piled up in the center of the battlefield. Fragments of ammunition, rock debris, remains of corpses. Against the pungent smell of gunpowder. Together they make up a hell nightmare painting. And in the center of the painting, there is a man covered in blood standing there. It was the high-spirited Aunt Su-yun before. At this moment, he was breathing heavily. The original white clothes on his body were transformed into beggar clothes. Behind him, 3 other people were lying on the ground. Although his eyes were closed, his whole body was burnt black, and he even lacked hands and legs. But the heaving of their chests proves they are alive. 100 times better than those minced meat owners around. It was like waking up from a nightmare. Gusu looked around in a daze. When he came to support this time, he brought over 60% of the combat power of the Gusu family, together with the family members who were originally stationed at the mine. It is no exaggeration to say that 80% of the strength of the Gusu family is here. But in just a few minutes, nothing more. Except for the 3 people behind him, there are no living people at the scene. Not even a single complete corpse exists. Gusu's house, it's over. Even if the Scarlet Council retreats now, the Gusu family is no longer qualified to be a top power. Thinking of this, Gusu suddenly raised her head. He stared at Sha Fang with blood-red eyes. I want you to die. He roared word by word, his voice not like a human voice. The voice fell. Gusu burst out with more violent blood than before. Without continuing to talk nonsense, he rushed straight to Sha Fang. Learn from mistakes. From the situation just now, it is not difficult to analyze that it takes a little time for the other party to use that special method. Although not long, only a few dozen seconds. But for a supreme powerhouse, this time is enough for him to kill several early martial kings. Before the opponent launches that attack again, take him down. As expected of the strongest who has come from countless kills and fights. Even if he is angry now, he can still quickly judge the weakness of the enemy. Look at Su Yun, who is rushing straight to his aunt. Sha Fang sneered. Why do you feel like I'm being pinched as a soft persimmon? In the depths of the soul, countless data flickered in Skynet. It only took less than 1,000th of a second, and it has already given dozens of perfect solutions to the attack of Gusu. The weakness of the mechanic's weak soul and poor adaptability does not apply to Sha Fang. To deal with this kind of guy, you don't need to be so troublesome. The real body of martial arts. Let you see what is called the real body of martial arts. Originally calm and standing, the temperament calm Sha Fang. Suddenly he took a step forward. The clothes are dancing without any extra movement, just a simple punch. In an instant, blood like a deep sea rose into the sky. There was even a gust of wind in the sky. In everyone's horrified eyes, a martial art body similar to the one behind Gusu appeared. The reason why it is said to be similar is because the one behind Sha Fang is more solid. No, it can no longer be described as solid. It's a real entity at all. According to Skynet's deduction, Sha Fang had already guessed that the most important thing in the promotion of King Wu to Emperor Wu is actually the soul. In the late stage of King Wu, the transformation of blood energy was completed, and the physical evolution had reached its limit. If you want to become stronger, you can only make a fuss about your soul. And the so-called real body of martial arts. To put it bluntly, it is the result of the resonance between the power of the soul and the blood. With the soul to control the air, the void condenses. And when it comes to the soul, looking at this world, who can compare with Sha Fang? Ring the bell once. Push the lever to activate the piston and pump. Toll the bell twice. At the push of a button, the engine fires, the turbo ignites, and life is injected. Toll the bell 3 times. Sing in unison, praise the God of all machines. Quote. For some reason, the chanting of, praise the God of machinery, appeared in the minds of the people at the scene. A loud bang. The God of machines condensed with chi and blood collided with the opponent's real body of martial arts. In the deafening roar, including Sha Badian, everything around was blown away. The blood filled the air, turning into a sea of blood. While blocking everyone's sight, it also crushed the 3 Gusu family who were still alive not far away. In other words, within the range of blood chi. Whether it is rock or flesh and blood, they have all been crushed into slag. Even Sha Fang suffered a lot of damage. Wu Zong is okay, even if he is seriously injured, he can still move quickly. A general with a relatively slow reaction speed killed nearly 100 people in an instant. How's the situation? I don't know, I can't see anything. That kid is actually a late martial king. Pay attention to the words, how can I wait to figure out the strength of the adults? Yes, look at my stinky mouth. Quote. King Wu cannot be humiliated, this is an iron rule. Not to mention that the other party is still the late martial king, a martial king who can be called the strongest. If you talk nonsense, even if the other party does not pursue it. Some people do it to curry favor with them. just when everyone stretched their heads and carefully sensed the battlefield situation. Swoosh! A dark shadow flashed past and slammed into a big tree. Everyone looked at it with concentration and took a deep breath. Gusu, the patriarch of the Su family who was once unparalleled in the limelight, does not have a piece of good meat on his body now. The right arm that launched the attack was even cut off. From the appearance of the wound, it was obviously caused by Julie's forcible tearing. How can that be? Some people rubbed their eyes subconsciously, suspecting that they had hallucinated because of the shock just now. How could it be Gusu who fell to the ground? He is the patriarch of the Gusu family and one of the strongest with the record of one-man beast hordes. Such an existence is in a one-on-one confrontation. How can you lose? This is not reasonable. Logically speaking, shouldn't it be the young man lying here at this time? From the appearance of Gusu, to the explosion of an unknown weapon, to the outbreak of the late Wawang cultivation base on both sides. After several turns in a row, everyone now just feels the buzzing in their heads. Everything seems so unreal. After a brief period of confusion, the crowd became excited. Originally, everyone just came to watch the fun, and by the way, collected information on the emerging force of the Scarlet Council. I never thought that I would actually witness the shattered myth of Xian undefeated. What an honor for a warrior. Enough to blow them for a lifetime. Thinking of this, people subconsciously looked at the battlefield. I saw Sha Fang walking slowly. Although the real body of martial arts has been dissipated, there is no burst of blood. But the pressure on him made everyone bow their heads. It's like a subject surrendering to the king. Forgive, spare my life. I can help you. Sha Fang smiled lightly. Sorry, your death will help me even more. Vigorously shaken, his heart shattered. The patriarch of the Gusu family, one of the strongest. Aunt Su-yun, die. Time flies. It has been 10 days since the demise of the Gusu family. At this moment, the Kira mine has undergone earth-shaking changes compared to before. It is hard for people in the manual age to imagine what the mines in the mechanized age look like. The R9800 large excavator is more than 10 meters high and 4 or 5 stories high. The overall weight of the body reaches an astonishing 800 tons, and 50 tons of materials can be excavated for each operation. The X11 mineral crusher is 20 meters high, 150 meters long, and the conveyor belt width reaches an astonishing 10 meters. B54 super incinerator, the instantaneous temperature can reach 3000 degrees, and it can extend 70 tons of raw materials per hour. In addition to them, there are electromagnetic element separation devices, high-temperature purification devices, sonolication devices and so on. When this all appeared at the Kira mine, it only took 2 days. Create a huge mine with a diameter of 100 meters on the spot. This stunned those in charge of surveillance outside the mine. Although they could not perceive any blood energy in those steel monsters, the destructive power of the other party was real. Furthermore, the size alone is terrifying. While driving, the tremors of the earth make everyone who has experienced it in person feel a kind of fear from the bottom of their hearts. An unknown fear of that industrialized force. Of course, it can also be called worship. Sha Fang, who can brutally kill the strongest, an industrial monster with a huge size, a mysterious and unknown explosion attack. The combination of these series of things instantly made the Scarlet Council the most concerned topic of all forces. Especially those big forces near the Scarlet Council. They are even more intense. In fact, at the beginning of the frenzied expansion of the Scarlet Council, someone was already paying attention. It's just that the details of the Scarlet Council were not clear at that time, plus the existence of the Gusu family. They were nervous, but not overly frightened. The comprehensive strength of the cities annexed by the Scarlet Council is not too strong. Some don't even have King Wu. Mutual annexation between weak and small forces is not uncommon. The Gusu family also did this in the initial stage. However, the final battle between Sha Fang and the Gusu family was a bit like a joke. Frightened all the big forces. Less than a day, no, it should be less than an hour. To annihilate a top power. Even the strongest Aunt Su-yun didn't survive. This is beyond what people can accept. Many people's worldview has collapsed. So here comes the question. With the Scarlet Council, which is stronger than the top forces, what will be the next step? If the other side continues to expand, how should they respond? This question made all the forces in the vicinity restless. For a time, take Salt Lake City as the center. All the forces in the entire area began to change. Major cities that rarely communicated in the past are now communicating frequently. Sha Fang was too lazy to deal with the turmoil in the outside world. He didn't even have time to ask. At the moment, he is inside the mine. The estimated reserves of high-energy crystals are 20,000 units, 90% of ordinary quality, 10% of high-quality, and there are associated energy metals. The importance of high-energy crystals made Sha Fang temporarily let go of everything. He did not expect that there are so many high-energy crystals here. What is the concept of 20,000 units of high-energy crystals? That is enough energy reserve for a whole space battleship to carry out high-intensity operations for 1 year. Converted to Tongtian points, at least 1 million starts. When this number appeared in front of Sha Fang, Rao was with Sha Fang's heart. It is also inevitable to shake hands. No way, it's too much. In the last world, we worked hard to start a listed company and lead the country to transform. In the end, it was not easy to earn 150,000 Tongtian points. It's good now, the arrival is not over yet, and I don't even know whether the final evaluation is S or SS. But it has already won 1 million Tongtian points. It's just to make money. In addition to high-energy crystals, Skynet has also detected a variety of energy metals that are extremely abundant here. That's the key to making a lot of energy weapons. Before Sha Fang crossed over, the reason why he spent 30,000 Tongtian points to exchange for the preliminary energy civilization rare mineral gift pack. Just considering the scarcity of energy metals. From the analysis of probability, in the universe, the probability of the birth of material civilization and biological civilization is far greater than that of energy civilization. The core reason is that energy metals are too rare. They generally only exist near high-energy matter and belong to associated minerals. Of course, everything takes a sip. It is difficult for an energy civilization to be born, but as long as it is born, there will be no weaklings. Judging from the situation in which he fought with his aunt Su Yun before. Against the strongest, relying solely on carpet bombing is extremely inefficient. Gu Su Yun was also injured because it was unexpected, and the other party had never seen this kind of attack. In addition, he planned to save people, and he did not escape at all. Otherwise, deduce according to the data. At least 4 to 6 mechanical legions need to be sacrificed to kill the opponent. I have to admit that a super powerhouse who combines boundless power into one naturally restrains scientific and technological civilization. Even if you use forbidden weapons, you have to sacrifice. The speed and survivability of the opponent is too exaggerated. Based on this question, after Sha Fang got the energy metal, he immediately started to make related energy weapons. Such as wireless unmanned long-range laser attack weapons. That is, a floating gun. For the people of Sioux City, what happened in the past few days has left them stunned. First, the Su family dispatched collectively, and the legendary mythical Aunt Su Yun personally led the team. Just when people are talking about which force is going to be unlucky. Suddenly, it was discovered that the entire Sioux City was taken over by a force called the Scarlet Council. A member of the Gusu family escaped, captured captive. In less than a day, the city of Sioux changed hands. If all this can be reluctantly accepted, then what happens next will confuse everyone. The other party actually wants to transfer everyone to Salt Lake City, which is hundreds of kilometers away. That's hundreds of kilometers away. Even for generals, this distance is dangerous. Not to mention a group of ordinary people who have no fighting ability. For a while, rumors were circulating in Suchong secretly. Some people say that the Scarlet Council has no humanity and plans to throw them all to the mine. Some people say that this is to cut the weeds and eradicate the roots. Killing someone by yourself is too bad. Simply go through the Great Migration and let monsters kill most people. This can not only achieve the purpose of reducing the population, but also preserve their reputation, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. However, no matter how the rumors spread, the situation is still under the control of the Scarlet Council. The puppet warriors who had been seriously injured because of their Aunt Su Yun had already recovered their fighting power after treatment. Not only that, through autopsy and analysis of Gusu Yun's body, their combat power has soared. Today, Skynet can artificially create puppet warriors of the martial king level. Although the conditions are a bit harsh, it needs experimental materials that were originally Wuzong. And there are certain requirements for talent. But when Sha Badian saw this scene, he instantly doubted his life. I have worked hard for decades, and I have been up early and late at night, and I have experienced life and death. With his life-threatening energy, he broke through King Wu. It's better now, someone else just disappeared for a while, and he has achieved his life's achievement. Although the price is a bit heavy, you need to pay yourself and become a puppet. But the difference in difficulty here still made him a little lost in thought. Is it really meaningful to cultivate yourself so hard? He even doubted that, sooner or later, Sha Fang could create the strongest. By that time, the streets were filled with the existence of the late King Wu. Thinking of that picture, Sha Badian felt a little decadent. That's it, that's it. There were words that no one could understand in his mouth, and the last little thought in his heart completely dissipated. ... Sha Fang didn't know that Sha Badian's mentality changed. Even if he knew, he didn't care. He and the other party are no longer on the same level. Will Shenlong care about the thoughts of the ants? Under the guidance of Sha Fang, the Scarlet Council once again entered the frantic expansion mode. The cities that originally belonged to the Gusu family's control were all his targets. The rich resources of the Keela mine were transformed into various weapons under the extremely powerful production and processing capabilities of Skynet. The power of the stormtrooper mechanic appeared in this world for the first time. For a time, there were mechanical legions and transport convoys everywhere. Sha Fang is too lazy to build survival bases everywhere. In his opinion, the population distribution pattern of this world is somewhat deformed. Population is the premise of all development. Without a sufficient population base, civilization can only stay in the handicraft era forever. He plans to make Salt Lake City a super city with a population of 10 million. It is convenient to manage by yourself. Second, to lay a solid foundation for the future of this civilization. At the beginning, Sha Fang was worried that his move would be boycotted by other top forces. I never thought that the other party seemed to be very calm, with a lively attitude. When I asked my subordinates, I realized that they were actually waiting for the outbreak of the beast tide. You mean, as long as the number of humans in a certain place exceeds the limit, there will be a beast tide? Sha Fang was a little surprised. Yes, Speaker. Those monsters are naturally hostile to humans, especially human warriors. The more vigorous the blood, the more excited they are. Everyone knows the importance of population base, and there have been top forces trying to bring everyone within their sphere of influence together. Unfortunately, in front of a large beast tide, not even the strongest can do it. 3 top forces have joined forces to try to fight the beast tide. It still failed. The reason is very simple. The more warriors there are, the higher the blood gas concentration will be, and the larger the scale of the beast tide will be. And if you want to fight against the beast tide that is getting bigger and bigger, you have to invest more warriors. Then you get into a vicious circle. No one knows how many monsters there are. Even if there is an upper limit, they are much more than the number of our human warriors. This is the despair of mankind in this world. It has always been said that perhaps only the appearance of the legendary Emperor Wu can solve this situation. Otherwise, human beings will be wiped out sooner or later. Wait until the subordinates leave. Blood energy, population, beast tide. Countless information collided in Sha Fang's mind, and soon, a new battle plan was drawn up. Open your eyes slowly. Beast tide. Disaster. Zhengchu's efficiency in cleaning up monsters is too low. I didn't expect such good things to happen. Sha Fang licked his lips, showing a bit of a sinister smile. That expression is like seeing delicious food. For him with the soul-thirsty ability, nothing excites him more than war. Salt Lake City is 80 kilometers away. Rumbling. Amid the sound of artillery fire, the stump of the monster fell like raindrops. A powerful shock wave licked everything. Round after round of shelling, the monsters that had gathered together were completely defeated. A few monsters whose single strength reached the level of military commanders had their own puppet warriors to deal with. As for the rest, it will be handed over to the Faith Legion. Everyone cheers me up, and it is absolutely not allowed to let any monster rush through our defense line. Can you hear it clearly? Listen clearly. Inside the simple fortifications, hundreds of soldiers responded in unison. Fire! Da da da! The moment the monster appeared, gunshots rang out. In an instant, hundreds of thousands of bullets swept across the sky and slammed into those monsters. The monsters who had been frightened for a long time had not yet reacted to what was going on. Just feel a pain, and then lost consciousness. Soon, all monsters were swept away. Clean up the squad, clear the battlefield within 5 minutes. Yes, monsters are food and cannot be wasted. All warriors know this. Relatively intact corpses can be made into delicacies such as barbecue. And those minced meat can be made into nutrient solution. It can not only supplement nutrition, but also practice. That's right, all people under the rule of the Scarlet Council can practice cultivation. In the past, you needed to join a major force to obtain the exercises, but now all the weapons below the general level are provided for free. As for the more advanced, you need to contribute points to exchange. It is also very simple to obtain contribution points. You can join the army or participate in labor. When the news came out, everyone didn't believe their ears. That's a practice method. It is true that one can become a martial artist without practicing the exercises. But that requires extremely high talent and resources. How could a group of commoners who usually find it difficult to eat enough to devote so many resources to cultivation? And if you can come up with so many resources, it is extremely easy to get a copy of the cultivation method. This forms a paradox. In a sense, the existence of the cultivation method has become a powerful tool for the great power to rule the common people. If it is said that food and clothing can only make the people feel at ease, then the practice of the exercises is made public. Then countless people began to spontaneously support the Scarlet Council. There are even many warriors among them. Everyone knows that in this world, only the Scarlet Council does this. Only the Scarlet Council has the ability to do this. After all, there are only so many resources for cultivation, and the more practitioners there are, the less everyone can enjoy. Furthermore, if everyone is a warrior, the threat to the ruling class is too great. A martial artist can easily control hundreds of ordinary people. But even if it is a military general, I dare not say that it can easily control hundreds of warriors. Under various factors, the degree of unity of the Scarlet Council is far beyond the imagination of the outside world. Some spies sent by other forces, after figuring out the situation here, even played disappear. They all change their faces to join the Scarlet Council. What if there is a threat of a beast tide? Warriors are not afraid of death. As long as the interests are big enough, betrayal is just a matter of thought. The topic is a bit off topic. With Salt Lake City as the center, within a radius of 100 kilometers, there are battlefields where warriors and monsters fight. Sha Fang likes war, but he didn't forget that the evaluation reward of the Babel Tower was the most important. In order to sharpen the soldiers, he endured heartache. It is better for them to get less soul energy and let them learn how to deal with various situations. You know, you can't stay in this world forever. Sooner or later they have to face it all by themselves. Of course, now these are just appetizers. The real war is behind. 5 days later, as the last person in Sioux City arrived in Salt Lake City. According to Skynet statistics, the total population here is a staggering 12 million. In order to accommodate such a large population, Salt Lake City was expanded 30 times by Sha Fang. Command Center. Discovering the phenomenon of super large-scale life gathering. The high-altitude probe issued a warning. Near Salt Lake City, almost all monsters are gathering in one direction. The number that has been proven alone has reached more than 20 million. This number has never appeared in history. The largest beast tide in history, the magnitude was only over 8 million. Remember, this is just the beginning. The scale of the beast tide continues to expand. The final number may be 3 to 5 times larger than this. When Sha Badian learned this number, his face was instantly pale. He really can't imagine, what can he use to fight the ultimate scale beast tide close to 100 million. Not to mention 100 million ferocious monsters, even 100 million pigs. Have to kill for several months, right? There are many others who have performed similarly to him. Of course, they knew that such a large population gathering would trigger a large-scale beast tide. But no one thought that this scale would be so large. The only good thing is that those monsters have no brains. I don't know how to wait for everyone to come on. The monsters gathered at the beginning have already fought fiercely with the warriors of the Scarlet Council. With the strength of Sha Fang's soul, he dare not say that he can read minds. But the mental state of other people can be easily sensed. He could see the careful thoughts of Wuzong and Wuwang at a glance. But Sha Fang didn't care. Anyway, the main combat power of the Scarlet Council has never been those old things. This time, he will show the people of this world what is the power of the people. Incidentally, it can also help the soldiers build their self-confidence. If you can overcome this level of beast tide, accumulated over hundreds of years, ordinary people's fear of warriors will be completely dissipated. From then on, people can truly be in charge of their own homes. Look at the monster distribution on the monitor. Sha Fang, how is the preparation for the defense work? A subordinate immediately stepped forward to report, the deployment of the mine belt is complete. The fortifications are still 2 kilometers away from the finishing touches. 100,000 artillerymen have been trained and are ready to go into battle. All legions have entered the fortifications. Logistics materials can support high-intensity battles for 3 consecutive months. Quote. Because of the time and number of people, Sha Fang only left the battlefield in one direction to the soldiers of the Scarlet Council. The other 3 directions are handled by Skynet's Mechanical Legion. Training soldiers return to training soldiers. Sha Fang does not want too many casualties. In one direction, there are about 20 to 30 million monsters. According to the deduction, this scale is just right for training troops. It can not only bring enough pressure, but also control the casualties within a limited range. On a mountain 5 kilometers from Salt Lake City. Due to the special mountain structure, even if a beast swarm breaks out, as long as it is hidden properly, those monster characters will not climb up to check if they have a target. This naturally became the only place for the major forces to watch the battle. I heard that the scale of this beast tide has reached 30 million. Really or not, can there be so many? Nonsense, this can still be fake. Within a radius of tens of thousands of kilometers, almost all monsters have rushed over. Your information is outdated, and the most powerful men have already probed it. This time the beast tide is at least 100 million or more. 100 million, then Salt Lake City must be over. Yeah, I doubt that even the Emperor Marshal will be able to stop a beast tide of this scale. I just hope those monsters don't destroy the manufacturing technology of those steel golems. When the time comes, I'll rush in and grab something when I get a chance. Quote. The reason why everyone gathered here is to watch the battle. After all, this is the most terrifying beast tide in human history, and everyone wants to see what will happen. It is also a wealth of experience. The second is to pick up leaks. The last time the Scarlet Council fought the Gusu family, it left the deepest impression on people. In addition to the strength of Sha Fang, it is the mysterious attack method beyond the line of sight. Everyone wanted to know what the hell was that thing. Unfortunately, no matter what means they use, if you don't understand it, you just don't understand it. Even if they got some special weapons in kind, they were still at a loss. In this regard, Sha Fang just wanted to say, "You think too much." A group of orangutans got a TV and wanted to disassemble and replicate it. Is it possible? Not to mention the technology in it, there is nothing the other party can do about the material alone. Special alloy steel is not a substitute for those tattered iron in the opponent's hands. As time went on, Sha Fang successively withdrew all the legions outside. When there are few monsters, you can also fight guerrilla warfare in the wilderness with the help of ultra-high mobility and beast tides. However, as the scale of the beast tide grew, the density of monsters near Salt Lake City is also getting more and more terrifying. The appearance of flying monsters and Marshal King-level monsters completely blocked the road of guerrilla warfare. The former is equivalent to an armed reconnaissance aircraft, with fast speed and wide field of vision. The latter plays the role of a military strategist. After testing, Sha Fang found that once the monster reached the Marshal King level, it would transform. Especially the level of intelligence. Change into a sheepdog in minutes. Under their control, the originally scattered monsters suddenly became orderly. Unprepared, several mechanized legions of Sha Fang were ambushed. Lost heavily. Of course, those monsters didn't get a bargain either. The flesh and blood collided with the steel armor, the consequences can be imagined. Especially the final self-destruction. It doesn't matter whether you were a monster of Wu Zong's combat power or a monster of Wu Wang's combat power. As long as the distance is close enough, the spiral ascends in minutes. After Skynet found something wrong, he immediately reported the situation to Sha Fang. All back on defense, waiting for the final battle. The beast tide that the Mechanical Legion can't fight against. If the soldiers continue to fight guerrillas outside, there is only one fate: the entire army will be wiped out. It is better to preserve the existing strength and wait for the last beast tide. Relying on the fortifications, the combat effectiveness of the soldiers can be brought into full play. It didn't make Sha Fang wait too long. On the third day after the soldiers retreated, under the control of the king-level monster, the beast tide finally broke out. Accompanied by a shrill howl. The four directions of Salt Lake City, the monster army began to go crazy. They were drooling, panting, and charging wildly in the direction of Salt Lake City. On the hill, the martial kings of the major forces watched those crazy monsters from a distance. Can't even breathe. There is no need to fight, just this movement makes people terrified. They could clearly feel that the mountain under their feet was trembling slightly. You know, this is a few kilometers away from the battlefield. There is so much movement in such a far place. It is unimaginable. What is the feeling of Salt Lake City, which is charging directly, at this moment? Think about it from another perspective. What would happen if their power was placed in the place of Salt Lake City? Afraid not to collapse before the war. Thinking of this, everyone's faces no longer had the schadenfreude before. Humans and monsters are inherently hostile. The despair faced by the Scarlet Council today, who can be sure that one day in the future, it will not happen to him? However, it doesn't make any sense to think about it now. All they can do is watch the Scarlet Council collapsed by the beast tide. Then everyone goes into the monster's belly. Sha Fang, you expand when you expand, what are you doing with everyone? If he survives, he is a sinner of mankind. This kind of person is selfish. If he escapes by himself, I must kill him. Count me in. +1. Quote. It is very rare for the major forces to reach an agreement. Of course, the premise of everything is that the other party can escape. If it is just an ordinary beast tide, 100% of the Xeon can survive. But the howl just now was obviously a Xeon-level monster, and there might be more than one. With such an existence, even Sha Fang is stronger than the average Xeon class. The final result is also uncertain. Not to mention the discussion on the side of the forces. Salt Lake City, Command Center. After the outbreak of the beast tide, countless data were collected here. Coordinate 32.51, 2 bases, attack immediately. Coordinate 44.12, 3 bases, attack immediately. 7th Artillery Battalion, Support Area 6. 21st Artillery Battalion, Support Area 36. Quote. With the help of the improved memory infusion device, Sha Fang gathered hundreds of military commanders in a short period of time. This defense is just enough to allow them to practice their hands. You can't count on Skynet for everything. There are still many big things in the future that they need to face by themselves. Follow the command center to issue orders. For a time, the cannons on the battlefield were thundering. The 155th Artillery Battalion, the Box Rocket Artillery Battalion, the Long-Range Rocket Artillery Battalion, etc., attacked wildly according to the instructions. The dense shells were shot from the barrel and flew straight to the beast tide. The monsters who have seen the powerful artillery, of course, know the power of that thing. Unfortunately, in this case, there is only one way forward. Otherwise, you will be trampled to death by your own people in minutes. Falling into despair, they can only charge forward madly. However, no matter how crazy, it has to be realistic. Rumbling, shells fell, shrapnel splashed. The bloody smell instantly permeates. Facts have proved that in the face of sufficiently powerful firepower, no carbon-based creature can face it head-on. Skynet stats are not required. Sha Fang only felt an incomparably huge soul energy hit. It's just So cool. Just a moment of carpet bombing, Sha Fang felt that his soul strength increased by about 30%. You must know that the soul energy that long-range weapons can absorb is extremely rare. Hundreds of times rarer than melee kills. This is also the reason why Sha Fang would rather spend time and effort transforming a large number of puppet legions rather than focus on mechanical legions. It is true that the puppet legion is due to problems such as cultivation, means, mobility and so on. In terms of lethality, it is far from the mechanical legion. But a difference of hundreds of times is enough to forcibly level the gap. However, even with such low efficiency, it can still increase Sha Fang's soul strength by 30% in an instant. You can see how many monsters the carpet bombing killed. On the battlefield, with the slow advance of the fire blockade, the tragic scene slowly appeared in front of everyone. Gravel, scorched earth, monster debris, blood clots formed when blood dries. All kinds of debris and countless monster corpses piled together. Obviously it should be a disgusting picture, but at this time it inexplicably formed a strange beauty. More is beautiful, bigger is better. The teachings of the multi-turret religion are fully reflected at this time. In front of this hellish scene, roar crazy monsters with no brains. The figure was also subconsciously stagnant for a moment. The fear of death can be felt by any existence with a soul. Far away, many martial kings looked sluggish, and their keen vision allowed them to see everything on the battlefield. Then, what kind of power is it? Someone whispered. There was no rise in blood, in their opinion, it was just a lot of black stones that were not exaggerated in size. Then a series of mushroom clouds appeared at the landing point. The violent tremor was even more terrifying than the beast tide just now. Visible to the naked eye, the blood-red fog was enveloped by the shock wave and spread around the battlefield centered on it. That is after the blood was violently impacted, it changed from liquid to gas. In the pungent smell of blood, the scene was silent, and no one dared to mention the things that were missed. Just how powerful Emperor Wu was, no one at the scene had ever seen it with their own eyes. But there are still many people who have seen the strongest shot. In their opinion, even if Emperor Wu is 100 times stronger than the strongest, his attacking ability is absolutely impossible to achieve the effect just now. In other words, Sha Fang is not the Emperor Wu now, but he looks like the Emperor Wu. Emperor Wu. Someone looked at the distant battlefield with complicated eyes. There is a glint of unknown meaning in his eyes. Not to mention the complex mentality of bystanders. Time flies by. At this point, 5 days have passed since the start of the war. The deafening shelling also continued for a full 5 days. More than 12 million residents of Salt Lake City have been fearful and nervous at the beginning, and are now numb and accustomed to it. Some have even developed the habit of not being able to sleep without hearing the cannons and explosions. Everyone knows, as long as the gunfire is still going on. That proves they are still safe. The hideous-looking monsters outside cannot threaten them. Of course, peace of mind is peace of mind. No one is idle. Under the arrangement of the Red Council, everyone in Salt Lake City was assigned a task. Men are responsible for physical work, such as entering factories to participate in production, carrying supplies, participating in military training, and so on. Even Sha Fang had to admit that in a small area, the work efficiency and adaptability of extraordinary civilized individuals far exceeded that of construction machinery. Even with the help of Skynet, it can't make up for this. At least until he has a liquid metal robot, Sha Fang doesn't have a good solution for the time being. Women are responsible for delicate work, especially medical care. Differences in physiological structure make women more suitable for working in hospitals. As for the more special elderly and children, they also have their own special missions. No one finds it hard work. Being able to have a safe haven where food and clothing can be enjoyed in this troubled world is already like a dream for most people. And now there are people who want to smash everyone's dreams. In other words, Sha Fang does not allow residents who have not received military training to go to the battlefield. Otherwise, someone would have rushed to their lives long ago. Never underestimate the pursuit of a bright future by a person who has never seen the light. That is not love can describe. That is faith. Born in troubled times, not afraid of life and death. For the vast majority of ordinary people, death does not make them cowardly. They are more afraid of eternal despair. In fact, This is what Sha Fang wanted to see. First inspire the soul of the nation, and then shape the shape of the nation. The combination of the two can create a great nation. Not to mention the changes in Salt Lake City residents. In the command center, Sha Fang frowned at the report. Why are there so many casualties? In just 5 days, more than 2,000 people were killed or injured in the fortifications. 180% higher than expected data, nearly 2 times. You know, until now. The monsters that can rush to the front of the fortifications are only rare. Under the dual power of carpet bombing and mine positions, most of them died without slag. In this case, more than 2,000 people were killed or injured. So how do you last until the beast tide ends? Report to the commander-in-chief that there are suspected Xeon-level monsters participating in the battle. Many warriors were killed without reacting to what was going on. Xeon-level monsters do not have the real body of martial arts, but their physique is several times more terrifying than that of human Xeons. For those warriors whose cultivation base is generally in the martial arts, such an existence is truly extraordinary. After all, the opponent's speed is so fast that he can't even see the afterimage, so what's the point of attacking? Skynet, are you sure the information is accurate? This time it is definitely not a Xeon-level monster participating in the battle. If there is such a level of existence in one direction, there must be abnormal conditions in other directions. Suspected target found. Number 2. The match is 99%, and it can be confirmed as a Xeon monster. The other 3 directions are because Skynet is responsible for garrisoning. Its reaction speed is not comparable to that of ordinary humans. As long as the performance of the detector can keep up, unless the other party can reach the speed of light. Otherwise, there is absolutely no way to escape the lock of Skynet. This is also the reason why there are no major losses on the Mechanical Legion. Whenever the Xeon-level monster appears, it will always be focused on fire, so that the other party does not dare to attack without authorization, for fear of being ambushed. It's really impatient to use the trump card so early. If that's the case, then I'll go play with it. It just so happens that the laboratory is still missing the corpse of a Xeon monster. Salt Lake City, Southern Defensive Position. You said, will that ghost appear again? Inside the trench, a young soldier with a tender face asked in a low voice. Zheng Hao, how many times have I told you, that's not a ghost? If it's not a ghost, how can we not see it? Didn't the instructor say it? That's because the other party's speed is too fast, exceeding 500 meters per second, so our eyes can't catch the other party. I think it's a ghost. How can there be such a fast monster? You Elmhead, really pissed me off. Quote. Just when several people were arguing about whether the monster was a ghost or not. Not far away, the energy detector suddenly sounded an alarm. Seeing this, the expressions of several veterans changed. This energy detector was just posted above. The effect is very single. Monitor Xeon monsters. Only when the blood gas intensity reaches a certain standard, it will issue an alarm. The monitoring range is not large, about 800 meters. That is to say, there is now a Xeon-level monster that appears 800 meters away from them. And the time it takes for the other party to cross this distance is less than 2 seconds. Be careful with me, that monster came out. Before the squad leader's words were finished, a suffocating aura suddenly appeared in the trenches. In an instant, everyone, including the squad leader who had reached the Martial Master level, was forcibly held in place by an invisible pressure. Not to mention attack, they can't even move a finger. It was not until this time that everyone understood why those veterans who regarded death as if they were at home did not make a sound until they were completely destroyed. Not even a single scream. It's not that they don't want to sound the alarm, it's that they simply have no way of controlling their bodies. They now feel as if their souls have been pulled out by others. The body and consciousness are completely disconnected. Sha. The monster slowly walked into the sight of several soldiers. The body is like a wolf, with 6 eyes and 4 claws. Hairless but full of tentacles. It lowered its head and carefully looked at its prey. Despite the language barrier, several fighters read the meaning of it from each other's eyes. It's picking food. In just a few seconds, the monster's eyes stopped. It fell on Zheng Hao, the youngest at the scene. See this scene. Woohoo. Several veterans struggled frantically. Bloodshot filled his wide eyes. Although Zheng Hao's mouth was broken a little, his mentality was not very good. But everyone loves this little guy who jokes every now and then. Even if they had to die, they would not allow Zheng Hao to die in front of them. It is a pity that no matter how strong the willpower is, it cannot resist the crushing caused by the extreme gap of the soul. The monster's eyes flickered with playful eyes, and the tip of the tentacles opened a little bit, exposing a strange organ full of sharp teeth, like a flower. With its ability, it can obviously kill everyone in an instant. But it chose to slowly approach Zheng Hao. Obviously, this monster enjoys the desperation before everyone's death. He watched the deadly tentacle get closer to him. Zheng Hao's eyes changed from fear to numbness to determination. He remembered what his mother had said to him as he set out. "Son, mother doesn't ask for anything else, I just ask you to come back safely." "Mother, my son is going to break the appointment, but I didn't embarrass our old Zheng family." The monster obviously didn't like Zheng Hao's eyes after the transformation. Its killing intent skyrocketed. The tentacles accelerated instantly and shot straight at Zheng Hao's head. Several veterans' eye sockets were split open, and blood slowly flowed down the corners of their eyes. At this moment, they just want to pull the glorious bullets on their bodies. Die with the monster in front of you. At this time, a familiar voice exploded in the ears of several people. "By the way, why are you so ugly?" The voice fell. Several people only felt a gust of wind blowing. Then, the monster disappeared in place. A few seconds later, a loud crash sounded in the distance. It was also mixed with the shrill screams of monsters. It's the president of the council. I have heard the voice of the president of the council, and I can't be wrong, the lord of the council is here. The character is calm, and some introverted old monitor is like a mad believer at this time. He stood up abruptly, completely disregarding the battlefield rules, standing on the edge of the trench and looking at the place where the collision sound came. I don't know when, the oppression of the soul brought by that monster has disappeared. And his voice also spread throughout the entire defensive position through the communicator. For a time, there were people who behaved like him everywhere. Everyone is shouting, "Lord President." Some even knelt on the ground in prayer gestures. In the Scarlet Council, Sha Fang has long been deified. Not as deliberately brainwashed as before. This is what people do spontaneously. In the words of some people, "I know the president of the council is not a god, but what he has done is more worthy of our worship than God." Sha Fang. Everyone pay attention to safety, I will kill this guy first and avenge my brothers. With a bang, in the crowd watching, the monster privately called, "Death," by the soldiers fell to the ground. Under the impact of the giant force, a deep pit with a diameter of several meters appeared on the surface in an instant. Hiss. The ferocious roar of the past, but now a faint trace of fear can be heard. Bullying the soft and fearing the hard is the nature of the beast. This point has not changed even if it reaches the Xeon level. This feeling, your evolutionary direction is indeed different from that of humans. Sha Fang pinched the weird tentacles that were torn from the opponent. The nano-robots infiltrated the inside of the tentacles frantically with their fingers. Soon, a series of data feedback came back. Special cell arrangement, special blood gas circulation pattern, and strange internal organs. All the evidence proves Sha Fang's previous conjecture. After careful study and analysis of Gusu Suyun's body, he found that the evolutionary direction of human beings in this world is a bit like self-cultivation. The body is only the carrier of the soul, only the mind can last forever. The fighting power of King Wu seems to be far superior to Wu Zong, but in fact this fighting power is only due to the transformation of blood. There is soul power in it. King Wu's body has not actually changed. The appearance of the real body of martial arts also proves this. If King Wu wants to become Emperor Wu, the soul is the key. According to Skynet's analysis, the reason why Emperor Wu has never appeared in this world. It is because of the lack of means to strengthen the soul. Those superpowers who had been stagnant for many years in the later stage of King Wu, have actually polished themselves to the extreme in all aspects. Unfortunately, they lack the most core link. If their souls cannot be transformed, they will always be trapped in the late stage of King Wu. In contrast, the evolution route of monsters is easier. Perhaps because of the element of intelligence, monsters use blood energy more purely. It's just a road to the end. From the martial master level, to Wu Zong, to Wu Wang. The monsters pursue the ultimate evolution of the body. Muscle strength, bone density, nerve reaction speed, etc. The stronger the strength, the more terrifying the physical fitness. It's a bit like a weakened version of the refining body flow powerhouse. It is true that this upgrade mode has serious flaws in combat effectiveness and promotion probability due to its lack of depth. Human beings of the same level can often fight several. But as the realm gets higher and higher, the gap between the two sides is getting smaller and smaller. In the later stage of King Wu, even if it is a senior Zeon, at most, it can barely maintain an unbeaten 1-2. And once caught in a war of attrition, the human superpower will finally lose. No way, the opponent's body is too strong, and the total amount of blood energy is far from what humans can match. Of course, none of this is critical. The reason why many forces believe that human beings can't fight against monsters in the end. The most important reasons are: their way is not broken. Pure physical evolution, the difficulty of promotion is high. Plus the monsters have no brains and don't know how to take shortcuts. However, relying on the incomparably huge number, they just groped forward a little bit in the slaughter of life and death. You must know that many years ago, the strongest human beings could also play 3 or 4. In recent years, the fighting power of monsters has become higher and higher. The human situation is getting harder and harder. The research on the soul level is based on the technology currently mastered by Sha Fang. It's hard to actually do research. But pure physical evolution, Sha Fang is still very interested. Although his current tentative development route is material civilization and energy civilization. But it is not difficult to rely on the Babel Tower and add a biological civilization. In other words, except that pure energy civilization is extremely exclusive. The boundaries between other civilizations are not so clear. Just like the last world that Sha Fang experienced. Biology, energetics, materology and more go hand in hand. In the early stage of civilization development, this kind of cross-cutting research will not only not slow down the progress of civilization. Instead, it will draw parallels and bring more inspiration to people. Off topic. Under the strong combat power of Sha Fang, there was only one tentacle left on the monster. The quick attack of the tentacles that used to be unfavorable in the past, under the surveillance of Skynet, is almost like a slow-motion playback. Don't look at Sha Fang, it's only in the late stage of King Wu, and has not been promoted to Emperor Wu. His combat power is far superior to other supreme powers. One is because the soul is strong. The second is because of the source machinery. Although the nano-robots in Sha Fang's body cannot directly attack the enemy. They are smaller than cells and not yet powerful enough to kill. However, nano-robots can build various high-tech instruments inside Sha Fang's body. Ultra-high precision energy detectors, micromolecular sieves, dynamic trajectory capture instruments, acoustic wave detectors, etc. Even Sha Fang's bones are filled with nano-robots. They build special force-bearing structures between bone cells, making them 20 times stronger. It is no exaggeration to say that even if Sha Fang does not use the real body of martial arts, he can still crush the monster in front of him. Looking at Sha Fang floating in the air, the monster shivered. The cruelty of the past has now disappeared without a trace. Instead, fear. It just wants to run away now. The farther away you are from this devil in front of you, the better. Sha Fang sensed the collapse of the opponent's will to fight. Immediately felt utterly tasteless. I wanted to see if you had any special means, but that's it. I'll take you on your way. Before the words were finished, the Skynet alarm sounded. Alert, super strength lifeforms found, number 5. Energy fluctuation analysis, confirmed as a Zeon monster. You said, has he been promoted to the martial emperor level? I don't know, it feels a bit like it. I don't think it's possible. It's the martial emperor level. Whether it exists or not is an unknown. Maybe it's just a fantasy realm. Fart, how could it not exist? Aren't those monsters evolving in that direction? You also said that it's just evolving in that direction, and it didn't really appear. Then how do you explain the opponent's real body of martial arts? Yeah, it's all solidified. How could it be like that if it wasn't for Emperor Wu? Quote. Seeing that Sha Fang easily eliminated the Zeon level monster, everyone talked a lot. Some people think that Sha Fang has reached the martial emperor level. After all, such a powerful combat power has long exceeded the scope of the later period of King Wu. There are several Zeons at the scene. Who can kill Zeon monsters in such a short period of time? Seeing is believing. Although in the information, everyone knows that Sha Fang is very powerful. He is the first one to quickly kill the strongest in one-on-one head-to-head combat. However, intelligence is only intelligence after all. Many kings of Wu guessed that Sha Fang was able to kill Su Yun, and the hard power certainly existed. However, maybe he also used some special methods. It's just that because the intelligence personnel are not strong enough, they can't see it. After all, a little guy who is less than 20 years old kills the long-established Zeon. It sounds a bit mystical, but when they saw it today, they no longer had any doubts. It was like a real body of martial arts incarnate outside the body, making everyone extremely excited. Especially those few superpowers. They've been stuck in place for a long, long time. If you don't make a breakthrough, you can only choose a place to die, just like the predecessors in the past. For the strong, this method of death is the greatest sorrow. Of course, some people think that Sha Fang has not yet reached the martial emperor level. The reason is simple. They did not feel the suppression of the life level from Sha Fang. According to the deduction, after being promoted to the martial emperor level, life levels will leap again. This kind of change is like ordinary people becoming warriors, and it cannot be hidden at all. Of course, anyway, one thing is recognized by everyone: Sha Fang is undoubtedly the most powerful person closest to Emperor Wu. If the martial emperor level really exists, he must be the existence most likely to become the martial emperor level. None of them. Thinking of this, several of the strongest people on the scene looked at each other. No need to communicate, everyone knows what the other is thinking. They plan to help the Scarlet Council. There are very few opportunities to make the strongest people owe favor. However, just when a few people were going to make a move, the blood energy fluctuations from the distance made their faces change wildly. Quick, absolutely can't let him have an accident. The voice fell. Whoosh whoosh. The figures of several supreme powerhouses disappeared instantly. That is their hope of survival. ... Not to mention the group of people who eat melons. When the 5 Zeon monsters appeared, on Sha Fang's side, the entire battlefield fell silent. The soldiers who were excited because Sha Fang easily solved the monster just now are all lying on the ground. Don't get me wrong, it's not surrender. But 5, no, to be precise, the pressure of 5.5 to strong monsters is too terrifying. At this moment, all the warriors only feel that a mountain is pressed on their shoulders. Not to mention moving, they even feel extremely difficult to breathe. Even the residents of Salt Lake City who were 1 kilometer away from the battlefield could feel a sense of depression that was filling the air. At this moment, the soldiers are a little desperate. They all know that the president of the council is very strong, so powerful that even the so-called supreme power is not his opponent. However, there are 6 Zeon monsters in front of you. The absolute gap in quantity is enough to make up for the lack of quality. God, please save the president. I am willing to trade my life for the victory of the president of the council. Monsters, I won't let you go even if I'm a ghost. If you have the ability to fight one-on-one, what kind of ability is a group fight? Quote. The excessively strong emotions even set off a storm of souls over the battlefield. Unfortunately, because there is no core and leader, those discrete soul energies do not have any lethality. At most, those monsters snorted violently, and then ignored them. Relative to the madness of the soldiers below, Sha Fang seemed very calm. No, he didn't even look at those 5 monsters. Instead, he turned his attention to the back of the monster. How long are you going to hide? The detector did not issue an alarm, and when the naked eye looked over, there was nothing there. But the sense of the soul allows Sha Fang to clearly perceive that there are other existences there. This is also proved by the spatial coefficient fluctuations. Judging from the soul feedback, the other party is still a human being. Can control Zeon-level monsters, be hostile to me, and master spatial means. Sha Fang smiled and said, "Is it you, Sha Bufan?" If the other party doesn't come out again, Sha Fang will almost forget the existence of this son of luck. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.